I am standing in my apartment in Portland, watching the sunset paint the sky in orange and gold. It has been exactly 1 year since I walked away from my old life, from the house I thought would be my forever home, from the woman I believed was my soulmate. Tonight, the air feels peaceful. But 12 months ago, on a quiet Friday night, everything shattered completely. I never imagined becoming a man who disappears without a word. Yet here I am, rebuilt and breathing again. Before we begin this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If this resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now let me take you back to the night everything fell apart, and how walking away in silence became the loudest statement I ever made. My name is Braxton, and 6 years ago I met the woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. Her name was Kristen, and I first saw her at a company party hosted by a mutual friend. She had just moved to the city for a new marketing position, and she did not know a single soul in that crowded room. I noticed her standing by the window holding a glass of wine, looking a little lost but trying to appear confident. Something about her drew me in immediately. I walked over and introduced myself. We started talking, and before I knew it, 3 hours had passed. The party ended, but our conversation did not. We exchanged phone numbers, and I remember driving home that night feeling like something significant had just happened. I was 32 years old, established in my career as a software engineer, and I had dated plenty of women before. But Kristen felt different. She felt like the missing piece I did not even know I was searching for. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. I took her back to the same restaurant where we had our first official date. When I got down on one knee and pulled out the ring, she cried and said yes before I could even finish my question. Our wedding was small but beautiful, surrounded by close family and friends who had watched our love story unfold. My mother Linda told me that night that she had never seen me so happy. She was right. After the wedding, we bought a small house in the suburbs. It needed work, but that was part of the charm. We spent weekends painting walls, assembling furniture, and planting flowers in the backyard. I remember those Saturday mornings when we would wake up late, make pancakes together, and plan our future over cups of coffee. We talked about having children in a few years, maybe 2 kids, a boy and a girl. We talked about growing old together, retiring somewhere warm, traveling the world. I believed every single word. I believed in us completely. For 4 years, I thought I was living the dream. I thought I had found my person, my partner, my forever. I gave that marriage everything I had. I worked hard to provide for us. I made sure to never let the romance fade. Date nights every Friday, flowers for no reason, handwritten notes left on her pillow. I thought I was doing everything right. I thought we were happy. But I was wrong, and the signs were there long before I was willing to see them. It started about 8 months before I left. Small things, at first things, I brushed off because I trusted her completely. The first change I noticed was with her phone. Kristen had never been secretive about her phone before. We knew each other's passwords, and neither of us thought twice about picking up the other's phone to check the time or look something up. But suddenly she changed her password without telling me. When I asked about it casually, she said it was just a security update and she would give me the new one later. She never did. Then I started noticing how she always placed her phone face down on any surface. It was a subtle shift, but I caught it. She also started taking her phone into the bathroom every single time, even for quick showers. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself that couples need privacy, that just because we were married did not mean we had to share every single thing. I pushed the discomfort down and chose to trust her. The second change was her work schedule. Kristen had always been dedicated to her job, but suddenly, she was working later than ever. She talked about a new team she had been assigned to a new project that demanded extra hours. There were evening meetings that ran past 9 o'clock, weekend conferences that required overnight stays. When I offered to pick her up from the office after these late nights, she always declined. She said a coworker lived nearby and was happy to drop her off. I never met this coworker. I never even learned their name. The third change was the hardest to ignore. Our intimacy disappeared almost overnight. Kristen, who used to reach for my hand while we watched television, who used to kiss me goodbye every morning like she meant it, became distant. She flinched when I touched her. She turned away when I tried to hold her at night. When I asked if something was wrong, she blamed exhaustion from work. She said she was stressed that the new project was draining her. I believed her because I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But then came the night of our 4th wedding anniversary. I had planned everything perfectly. I left work early, stopped by the grocery store, and bought all the ingredients for her favorite meal. I set the table with candles, bought a bouquet of her favorite flowers, and even found a bottle of the same wine we had at our wedding. I wanted to remind her of us, of what we had, of what we could still be. Kristen was supposed to be home by 7. By 8:30 I was still waiting alone at that candlelit table. When she finally walked through the door at 9:15, she barely looked at the setup. She apologized quickly, said there was an emergency meeting she could not get out of, and headed straight for the bathroom. When she emerged 20 minutes later in fresh clothes, I caught something that made my stomach turn. There was a perfume on her skin that I did not recognize. It was not the vanilla scent she always wore. It was something heavier, something foreign. I asked her about it and she laughed it off, saying a coworker had spilled perfume in the conference room. That night, I lay awake while she slept beside me. For the first time in our marriage, I felt like I was sleeping next to a stranger. But even then I told myself I was overreacting. I told myself that marriage goes through phases, that every couple faces rough patches. I decided to be patient, to be understanding, to give her space. I had no idea that I was giving her space to betray me. The truth found me on a Friday night in October. Kristen had told me she was going to a team-building retreat at a resort 2 hours outside the city. It was an overnight trip and she had packed a small bag that morning, kissing me on the cheek before leaving for work. I remember thinking she seemed lighter than usual, almost excited. I assumed she was just looking forward to a break from the office routine. That night, I could not sleep. I wandered around our empty house, feeling restless for reasons I could not explain. Around 11 o'clock, I walked into the living room and noticed something on the couch. It was Kristen's iPad. She must have forgotten it in her rush to leave. Normally, I would have just set it aside, but something made me pick it up. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was fate. Maybe some part of me already knew what I was about to find. The screen lit up with a notification. A message from someone named Garrett. The preview showed just enough words to stop my heart. I cannot wait to hold you again tonight. My hand started shaking as I swiped the screen. Kristen's iPad was synced to her iPhone, which meant all her messages came through here too. I opened the conversation with Garrett, and what I found destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life. The messages went back 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of betrayal. There were hundreds of texts between them, filled with words that should have been meant for me. Pet names, inside jokes, plans to meet at hotels during her supposed work trips, photos that I will never be able to unsee. Garrett was not just some random person. He was her new manager, the one she had mentioned starting a few months back, the one who she said was helping her grow professionally. But the messages that broke me were not the romantic ones. It was what she said about me. About us. About our marriage. In one message, Kristen told Garrett that she had never really loved me. She said I was safe and predictable, but never exciting. She called me boring. She said I was the kind of man you marry because he looks good on paper, not because he sets your soul on fire. She told Garrett that she was just waiting for the right time to leave me, that she wanted to make sure she could get half of everything we had built together. I read that message 3 times, hoping I had misunderstood. But the words were clear. Crystal clear. The woman I had given my whole heart to, the woman I had built a life with, had been planning to take everything from me while sleeping with another man in our bed. I sat on that couch for hours. I did not cry. I did not scream. I just sat there, feeling something inside me turn cold. It was like watching myself from outside my own body. The Braxton, who believed in love, who believed in his wife, who believed in forever, that Braxton died that night. In his place was someone new. Someone harder. Someone who finally understood that not everyone deserves your trust. By 3 in the morning, I had made my decision. I was not going to confront her. I was not going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. I was not going to beg for explanations or listen to lies and excuses. I was simply going to disappear. I called Marcus my best friend since college. When he answered with a groggy voice, I told him everything in a flat, emotionless tone. He was silent for a long moment, then said I could stay with him for as long as I needed. I thanked him and hung up. Then, I started packing. I moved through the house like a ghost. I took only what was mine: clothes, my laptop, important documents. I left behind everything we had bought together. I did not want any reminders of this life. Before I walked out, I did one final thing. I took off my wedding ring and placed it on the kitchen counter. No note, no explanation. Just a gold band sitting alone on cold granite. I blocked Kristen's phone number. I deleted all my social media accounts. I emailed my company's HR department requesting an emergency transfer to the Portland office, citing personal reasons. By sunrise, I was in Marcus's guest room, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I had missed so many signs. The first week was brutal. I barely ate. I barely slept. Marcus tried to get me to talk, but I had nothing to say. I just existed, moving through each day like a zombie. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed constantly with calls from unknown numbers. Kristen had clearly discovered I was gone and was trying to reach me from different phones. I ignored every single one. After 2 weeks, I contacted a divorce attorney. I explained the situation and showed him screenshots of the messages I had photographed from her iPad. He assured me that with evidence of infidelity, the divorce would be straightforward. I asked him to handle everything through mail. I did not want any face-to-face meetings. I did not want to see her. I just wanted it to be over. Kristen did not give up easily. She showed up at my office, but I had already transferred.